Okay, everybody ready? Thank you for coming. Jennifer has graciously agreed to stand off camera and run the PowerPoint today. So we're going to talk today just a few things on accounts payable. If you have questions, we'll be happy to answer whatever questions you have. So we'll go through this hopefully pretty quickly. It's going to be great. We say that at least 5 times a day in our department. Okay, Laserfish. Matt's here to jump in. The plan is still going live with Laserfish. We ran into an issue with the Active Directory, kind of connecting Laserfish and our existing Windows management, and so they're still working on that. The plan is that we will still go live before July 1 and have all the kinks worked out so that we start the new fiscal year fresh with the complete set of records. So we'll have another training once we figure out what the issue is, kind of a refresher so everybody knows what to do, and then we'll get that up and going, and as soon as we know, we will let you know. So, okay, budget. So budget went really well this year. I thought we're on track, like I told everyone. I think I met with almost everybody in here to talk about your budget. So we're still on track to get those temporary budgets distributed to you before the end of May and school is out. Just remember, like I say, the state is crazy. Not the best terminology, but we don't know what's going to happen at the state, and so those are temporary. They are subject to change pending any different information that we get over the summer from the state. So just be aware of that. Does anybody have comments on the new process? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Are there things you'd rather we do next year? I was hoping for feedback on what you thought. So, crickets. Crickets, guys. Great. Okay. It's great.
It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be great. Okay. It works better for us because we have a better understanding of what you do and how to help you when something goes wrong if we sit down and have that conversation. So, okay, close POs. Close your POs. Please, please, please. If there is a more than 50% chance that you are not going to use that money between now and June 30, close it. If you don't know what the PO is, close it. We can always open a new PO if something comes up that we didn't think of or we forgot or whatever. That's not a problem. But waiting until June 20th to decide, oh yeah, I did need this after all, even though I probably didn't need it May 4th either, doesn't help us. So this is really, really important as we try to manage our cash flow through the summer. We've gotten the bulk of our cash in the spring, and we have to kind of manage that until we get back to January and get some more cash coming in. So it's really important. It helps us out a lot if you guys can get those closed if you don't need them. Also, I think we're going to be plugging this for 3 years. Probably we cannot do change orders anymore. So if your PO is close to being expended and you know you need more money, that's a new PO, new requisition. Our auditors will not allow change orders anymore. So.
And if you're traveling at the end of June, you need to make sure that you have enough money on that PO, because if you do not turn in your claim until after July 1st and there's not enough money, there's no way for us to reimburse on that PO. So you will most likely lose that money.
Yeah. So people that are traveling, I don't know if you heard Jennifer, if you are traveling between now and the end of the year and you don't know how much is left on your PO, please get with us. We can talk you through that. If you do, make sure it's enough. So. We don't make the rules, we just follow them. Most of the things we complain about are not our, thank you Donna, are not our choice. This is just how we are required to do things. So we appreciate your patience. Always a reminder, you have to have a PO in place before you make any purchases on behalf of Gordon Cooper. If you do not have a PO in place, we are not obligated to reimburse you for your purchase. Invoices need to be turned in as quickly as possible. Help us pay your vendors. We don't really have any personal relationships with your vendors, but I bet you they like it if they get paid on time. And so the faster you get invoices to us, the faster we can get payment to them. We have thousands of invoices that come in through the year, so we don't really know if we're missing one. So as soon as you can get those to us, the better. Also, like Jennifer said, check your travel PO if you're going to be traveling between now and the end of the year. Please don't run out of money. We can't pay you back if you do. So that is all for us as it relates to AP that we wanted to tell you. Do you guys have questions, comments, anything you want to talk about as it relates to AP or anything else in finance for that matter?
as it relates to laserfish, image net, so what's that gonna impact specifically?
So all users outside of finance will no longer work with trends. The only thing you will see is a requisition form in Laserfish. And so instead of logging into trends or using a paper requisition, you will now go to Laserfish, fill out the form digitally on your computer, and it will do all of the routing for you. And the approval process, and keep track of that. The nice things are you can go back and see what you've submitted previously. You can see where your requisition is in the process, and so you say, hey, I submitted this last week. Instead of us running around trying to figure out whose box it is in on their door, we can just log into Laserfish and say, oh, you know, Mike was out yesterday, he'll be back today, you know, he'll get that approved today. So that's a great benefit for us as well.
Is that only for general fund, or is it also activity fund?
It will cover general fund, activity fund, building fund, and payroll. And so we will have literally, it's one form for all of those things. The form is dynamic, and so what you fill out will change based upon the type of request that you're doing. The other thing I will mention too, as part of that process, we kind of added an intermittent step. So from the time you submit it until it goes to your supervisor, our finance staff will review it for things like correct coding. Is this really a general fund purchase? Let's not get to the end and decide, oh, that should have been activity fund. We're going to try to cut those things off kind of at the pass and say, oh, this really should be activity fund. This should be general fund. I think your coding may be wrong here. Let's talk about this. And make sure we have all that addressed so that when Mr. Lewis gets it, it's final, complete, and we're ready to roll.
So speaking of coding, that's really confusing to me. Are you going to give a list of appropriate codes that we need to use for certain things, or will that be on Laserfish?
Yes. So Laserfish will give you your list of codes that you're allowed to enter requisitions for in trends. It talks to trends. We will give you, as part of the budget process, that sheet that we sat down and made notes and talked through at the end of May. So you will get that back with a requisition account number that says, you know, this is the code that you use for calculators, and this is the code that you use for office supplies, and here's what you use if you have a conference registration. And so with those two, you should be able to get the coding better. The other thing that we did as part of budget is, and I think we talked about this, we have a lot of codes that just aren't being used. Maybe we had a one-time purchase that needed a special code and it never got deleted in the future years. And so we have 3,200 lines in trends, so I'm expecting that number to come down a lot. So where you might have had 10 or 15 budget codes before, you may have 4 or 5 now. So it should be easier to deal with.
I have a question.
Yes.
At the end of the year, like Jennifer, and that we could roll over the POs, is that gonna be a possibility to do that between the two? Or?
Yes. So part of our agreement with Laserfish is to have what they call rolling requisition, which is where we give them a list of requisitions to initiate, and then we will kind of kick those off in a batch. The other thing that will kind of relate to Rhonda, so Rhonda's question, because probably can't hear, was we have a group of purchase orders that we start at the beginning of every fiscal year. It's about 300 to 400. They're recurring costs that we have every year. And right now, Trends allows us to do that in a batch process where we can kind of start it all at once. And so Laserfish will also have that functionality. It will be a little bit different, but another thing that we're going to do as part of that process is a better job of reviewing the costs for those specific contracts, because they do change and we're not always really good about reviewing those every year. So we're going to do that this year.
Can you kind of address the end of year travel one more time? Because you guys understand where the potholes are, but those people out there in TV land may not be able to follow that.
Yes, so the rule is for end of year travel, and it's the rule the state puts down. I mean, it's not our option. If the money is not encumbered as of June 30th, we cannot pay a bill. That is the rule. And so the problem that we run into is if Donna, I'm just going to use an example, if Donna is traveling at the end of June or the middle of June and she only has $100 on her PO right now and her travel was $300, we cannot legally pay her more than $100. And so that's why it's really, really important. If you are traveling between now and the end of June, please, please, please check your PO. If you don't know where to get that information, call one of us. Let's talk about it. Let's make sure that you're covered, because we, as much as we like you, cannot pay you if it's not right. So.
Is that just travel, or is that any PO that, like, for the Pell students that I will need to leave open past June 30th, do I need to have those POs done early?
Yes, that is any PO. They all have to be encumbered at June 30. We cannot pay. We cannot pay on it if it's not
Any that I
covered.
need to do over the summer, I need to go and do them all now.
Yes, yes.
Any expense that's going to, in essence, be incurred prior to June 30th, you've got to make sure there's enough encumbered amount or balance left so that if you're not going to be actually paying that bill until after June 30th, if that bill is more than what's encumbered, we can only pay what's encumbered after June 30th.
Yeah.
We can pay it after June 30th, but we can't exceed the balance, for instance, on Jamie's PO, okay? As April said, there's $100 left, and there's a travel, and then the claim to reimburse is on July the 9th, then all we can reimburse is up to what's left on the PO. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's $100, you get $100. We appreciate the $200 donation.
And that's another thing. If you have questions on what fiscal year you need to enter the requisition for, just call us. We'll help you through that process. It's always a little questionable. At which point do we owe the money? Are we liable for that money? So if you have a question on which fiscal year or which fund, at any point, just call us and we will talk you through that and do our best to help you out. So, more questions? Okay, so as part of May the 4th, this is Woohoo the Elephant. Woohoo the Elephant is our mascot in finance. We attack elephants one bite at a time. He has to be pink because we said so. It's going to be great. So under one chair in the room, there is a picture of Woohoo the Elephant, and you are going to get this May the 4th lightsaber. So I will tell you, no one is sitting in the chair. Woo! Rhonda needed a lightsaber for her office.
And the significance of May the 4th?
May the 4th is Star Wars Day.
May the 4th be with you.
Yeah, May the 4th be with you.
Was your tricky?
Yeah, Bob Harry. Bob Harry. He's not bitter. Just ask him about it. Thank you, guys. Great job. See?